Start frothing up, Postie fans, we're back! Here we are, the Posties with a Purpose, 2017, the Lunatic Loop. There will be tragedy, unplanned detours, airtime, and a few beverages to wash everything down. In 2017, the number of riders ballooned to 29, with only 3 riders who will attempt their third tour. With a planned route of over 1,300 kilometres and the main aim of raising funds for the John Hunter Hospital Children's Ward, the riders suited up. Once again, the fans and media swarmed on the Postie riders as they departed from Dudley Pub, and once again they were led by Macca, the prez of the Postie game. The riders headed through Newcastle and past one of the sponsors, Port Waratah Coal Services. Then, with haste, the Postie riders headed out of town for the first regroup at Raymond Terrace. On the last Postie ride, there was minimal breakdowns and relatively trouble-free riding over the 900 kilometres. By Raymond Terrace, it was apparent that we weren't going to be having such luck this time. So, you've had a little bit of a blowout here. The caps come off the PVC.
I pump swimming pools for a living and I can't do it right. So,
right.
An incident there, nothing's lost, so we're all fine.
That's it. Well, actually, Rod wasn't the first breakdown of the ride.
This is a Macca special. He's set me up, mate.
Right, so what's happened?
He's well, we changed the tyre a few weeks ago, and he thought he got the tension on the chain right. Obviously not.
Yeah, that's it. Lost the chain.
Lost the chain.
Well, that might have been the curse of riding through the suburbs. From now on, we were in the realm of God's country, cruising through the back roads of Clarencetown, headed for Dunbog. Smoko on day one was at Frying Pan Creek. We had left the grippy confines of the tar behind and everyone was getting their dirt track racer dialed in.
Oh, really?
Alright, Killer, so what happened to your bike?
Oh, mate, I was just following Big Jimmy, and he fucking rounded me up and the exhaust pipe fell off.
Oh, fair dinkum.
And lost that nut there and this guard. And
yep.
Put the tools out, quick repair, mate, we're back on the road. Here we are.
There you go. Good stuff. Yeah. But after a bit longer than expected, we wondered where the food car was.
Cars always get fucking.
We had that big 4-wheel drive, get out of there.
Only missed by one down.
The Macca did say it's got a race.
Right, now show us this map here.
There's only one Ford.
This will be the evidence.
Yep. But that sign there, it says Skimmers Gap Road with an arrow.
Yeah.
It must say Skimmers Gap Road this way, and Skimmers Gap Road comes off here.
So after a quick bout of finger pointing, it was time to head off again. Unfortunately, it wasn't long before everybody was lost. Somewhere in the Barrington Tops National Park, we had plenty of nice places to wait for everyone to regroup and plenty of time for some well-supported maintenance of the bikes as they vibrated their way across the mountainside. We eventually made our way into a lovely town called Gloucester for some fuel. The Prez had actually been on the local radio station throughout the week and let them know that we were coming. The childcare centre even arranged to have all the kids out the front to wave as we passed. We pulled into a rest area just out of Gloucester and tried to problem solve Rossi's lack of power. It was plaguing him for several days before he eventually hung up the boots for the ride. We then headed in to more pristine riding with well-tarred winding roads, the return of the wonders of slipstreaming, and several people were standing up due to their sore bottoms. Of course, to keep us on our toes, the reconnaissance team had thrown in more sections of dirt just to see what else could vibrate free from the bikes. As we moved further and further northwest, you could see the changes in the countryside, with the roads making their way through some amazing backdrops.
When did you catch Dodge? I never thought that you'd be leaving without bothered me. She said you look pretty blind, but you tell such a story. And I pretend that I care, but I'm really not sorry. Now my body matches my legs again. Geriatrics wiggle all the way home. Sunspots sprinkle corn in the corners of your mouth and on your nose. For someone who's so keen to snuggle, you cause a lot of trouble.
It was well on dark as we made our way into Walker. The New England Hotel had plenty of beds to rest a weary Postie Bike rider, and just conveniently also had a cold refreshing supply of ales to wet a dry and dusty throat. In the evening, on a Posties with a Purpose bike ride, the last order of business is the Kangaroo Court. The Sergeant at Arms takes down statements from club members which detail what rules have been broken by other club members throughout the day's ride.
Does anyone want to see the sheriff to lay a charge against another club member before we start the court?
Usually, the defendant pays a $5 fine and we move on. Other times, the defendant seeks counsel and the matter is heard in front of the court.
Alright, let's see the evidence. Let's see the evidence.
Tell me that there's nothing wrong with this. Try and fucking tell me Wait, just imagine I'm an I'm trying to have a quiet night in and I get sent fucking that.
He's scribbling now.
No, my client
Your client knows that
he said some words not required.
his bike, the one and only bike that I did not purchase in my name was his. And he knows I'm right.
Splash, Pedro.
Who's doing the washing up?
Desiree.
Sorry, Desiree.
After court, everyone has an after minimum and, as you can imagine, quietly goes to bed. We awoke to rush hour at wonderful Walker, and the most polite, quiet and well-behaved guests the lovely New England Hotel has ever had amassed outside, ready to tackle the day ahead. The trusty Postie Bikes were fueled up, and before we knew it, it was time to hit the road. Pres Gup gave the numbskulls salute, and in Think Desert racing style we were off.
Something left out in the rain. Don't try to hold on to the thread of what was. Or don't
Well, we're still working on our Think stunts. We had an environmentally friendly without the paper ticker tape parade of Walker.
It's this burning you leave under my skin.
It wasn't long before we were back out on the picturesque roads of mid-northern New South Wales. The gang spread out, which gave each of our Postie riders time to ponder their deep thoughts. We stopped at a farm gate and let everyone bunch back up again. Unfortunately, this state of inner peace had fallen upon our navigator and we'd missed our turn off. We'd reached the end of the road. So while we figured out where we were, Postie Gang were kind enough to show the farmer that he could utilise his paddock as a CT110 motocross track. The boys also wanted to show each other the native fauna of the area. So with our bearings reset, we headed back out into the middle of nowhere, only to find other like-minded souls on touring adventures. Welcome to everybody's favourite game show, Pin It to Win It. Now, let's see how you go with our first question tonight. Under the helmet here is our trusty support crew chief and backup rider Kerry. So the question is, who has fallen off, busted themselves up and been put in the naughty seat in the car? Is it A, Jody, B, Rossi, or C, Otto? You guessed it,
mate,
Otto.
bit of bark
What have you done to yourself this time?
Bark off the knee. Yeah, right. Hands pretty well gone. Oh, a little couple of scratches on the face. That's all.
Yeah. And so what brought you unstuck? A corner or?
No, mate, coming across a cattle grid which wasn't set real good, and there was a big lump of cement, about 4 back wheels hit it. The back's come up about 2 foot and then swung to the side. And
So the bike's actually gone pretty well then, if it's flipped and it's hardly got any damage on it, has it?
No.
A cracked mirror.
Yeah, cracked mirror, that's all. Nothing else.
Yeah.
All good.
Ah, good stuff, Otto. Oh, good to see you're still alive and kicking.
Yeah, mate.
Yep.
Back on it tomorrow.
That's it. After a quick break for refreshments, the Prez had seen a sign that practically read Postie Bikes here, and we headed off to see what would entail. The road to George's Junction is pretty narrow, windy, and with some steep drop-offs. It's easy to see why they don't want large vehicles and caravans coming down this one. George's Junction is one of the most beautiful areas of New South Wales. There is a nice flat area up on the hill for campers, and the river provides plenty of entertainment for the traveller. It's the Prez. Have a look, everyone.
We're not going that way.
Look what's coming. It's on its way. I hope we've packed our wet weather gear. The boys practiced their use of indicators and reminded each other to check for blind spots as they departed George's Junction. The road was flat and windy and perfect for this type of practice. Our road etiquette practice soon came to an end though, when a 4-wheel drive came by and ensured that we all stayed left, even when overtaking. But everybody was enjoying themselves and with a smile on their faces, headed off to enjoy the last hour before the inevitable rain came in. We came into Bellbrook and met a guy named Chunk, not his real name or his real photo. It was about 11 in the morning and Chunk was already holding a beer. He told the Prez about a shortcut that his neighbour's cousin, who once spoke to an old lady who lived up the road from around these parts, once told him about. Now since Chunk also told the Prez about how when he was a boy he owned the fastest Yamaha in all of New South Wales, the Prez took his word for it and off we went. We rode along the shortcut for about half an hour before the crew started to doubt his new mate, and we had to backtrack half an hour in drenching rains on slippery clay roads. Chunk was not particularly well liked at that stage. There are no other options for the adventure postie rider, and we just simply had to look for opportunities to avoid the rain where we could. Here we found a nice little awning to refuel the bikes.
When did you catch dogs? I never thought that you'd be.
We didn't want to endure any more shortcuts, so we continued on our planned path. Some people decided to have a little lie down in the middle of the trail, but they were quickly surrounded by friends who encouraged them to get back on their bike and keep going. Now, as you can see, the light was getting away from us, and Rossi was really enjoying this good farming weather. His front mudguard had fallen off, which resulted in him being covered from head to toe in mud. He'd had to lie down a little earlier while trying to cross a bridge. An old bridge nail was sticking up a little and it punctured a hole in his knee. His knee was sore, but he continued on into nightfall to make the town of Bellingen. All light was lost when we came into Bellingen. We were soaked, tired, hungry, and as you'd imagine, very thirsty. The diggers at Bellingen was very generous to the posties with a purpose. After holding off the Friday night raffle until we arrived, the publican was nice enough to donate all of the proceeds to the cause. It was meant to be a running start in the morning, but something was obviously up. Welcome back to everybody's favourite game show, Pin It to Win It. Our second question today is, why is everybody lazing about? Is it because A, Rossi is awaiting a court appearance, B, Rossi is in hospital, or C, Rossi is waiting for the shops to open to buy a raincoat? Who's put Rossi in hospital? Rossi. That'd be a very brave man to put Rossi in hospital. What's the story, Rossi?
Come into a right-hand bend, down onto a bridge, pissing down rain, and then there's a quick left-hand turn. We're going a bit quick, but hit the brakes on the bridge, 2 seconds, gone.
Washed it out. Yeah.
Gone from under, slid across the road, maybe 10 feet or so. My chin as I went down, because I didn't have a full face helmet.
How many people are not running the full face helmet?
I think there was
Just one.
one,
Yeah.
probably.
So it swelled up or something, did it?
Yeah, swelled up pretty much straight away. Didn't realise that I'd punctured a hole in it. And,
Yeah.
and then what do you do? I jumped back on the bike though.
Yeah, that's right. You finished the day. That was good.
day
Yeah.
off. And the next day, it was no good. So
Yeah, right.
off to the hospital and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, that was Bellingen.
Bellingen Hospital, wrapped up and barred from riding the bike. So.
There's a washer under your bike. Where's that washer from?
Oh, that's off that extra bolt that went off there.
Oh, you're just taking all the extra bolts out, are you? The diggers have been nice enough to let us transform the bottle into a makeshift garage. Although the Postie Bikes only take 5 litres, it does seem to add up when you have 29 of them to fill. And so once again we gave the numbskull salute and made our way through the beautiful surrounds of the mid-north coast for day 3.
We wandered down to the streets of your neighborhood, sit in the backseat of your corridor as we talked about the night before. And I waited for the ice to thaw between us now. You're slowly winning me over now. You're winning me over.
We eventually made our way down the coast and crossed the Hastings River on the ferry.
So don't ask me all about the night I didn't show to stay here. Now I'm back again, and I
As we made our way through suburbia, a random Postie Bike rider joined us for a while, and the press took us on a tour of the bridges of the mid-north coast. A bit weird, but the press does what the press does. Anyway, we pulled up to let everyone bunch back up after making our way through town. Of course, boredom sets in pretty quick for the young ones amongst us, and they started to show off their dirt bike riding skills. What our young one didn't know was that it was about now that a National Parks and Wildlife Ranger pulled up in his truck and was having a good look at what was going on. Hazo went over to smooth things over, and later that night he told us what the officer's mood was like.
Alright, black and white, he wasn't fucking happy.
Just sit there watching him.
The Posties with a Purpose soon found themselves back in the dirt and travelling along a pretty sweet little track with plenty of puddles to keep everybody on their toes. The throttles were given a workout and the suspension was taken to its limits, but everybody was having a blast. The truck made its way to the back of the dunes where the sand would test the bike handling skills of the riders. Some riders decided to take on the sand flat out, which worked for a while before they were checking out the vegetation. Others had a nice little giggle to themselves as they pitied the fallen riders. But karma has a way of levelling things out. Let's watch that again. And again. And again.
Happy holidays!
We made our way south, and with the return of more stable ground, the speed picked up. But there is nothing like complacency, dirt roads, and drum brakes to sort out a few riders.
Oh, he goes! That's the way, Stretch. Oh, here goes one. Oh, nice. Oh, there's another one.
Day 3 ended at the once bustling Kupanook. Of course, the bridge and highway are now gone, but there is a nice boat ramp, or wheelie practice, or burnout pad if you want to treat it that way.
Possibly to be president next one, hey?
No chance.
Number 4.
Absolutely no chance. We'll start with that.
Now, we're running the new bikes here, so can you run us through what did you do to prepare your bike for the Posties with a Purpose?
We did a little bit of engine maintenance on all of them. We changed some cam chains and their roller wheels, which we may or may not have had one lose a piston.
Right. And that was in one of the, that was one of the pre-runs, wasn't it?
That was on a pre-run.
Yeah. All right. What else have you done to the bike?
We've put new tyres on them to make them have a little bit of grip for the dirt roads we've been doing. And then it was just all about storage and personal comforts.
Right. And so you're running the milk crate here?
I got the milk crate with the fancy lid.
So is this bike maintenance? Not checking your bolts?
Not checking your nuts.
Right, not checking your nuts, eh? Okay. And is that what you do with planes? You just you wait for the plane just to stop and you put zip ties on it, do you?
Super glue, duct tape, and zip ties.
Yeah, alright.
That's my Jet Star.
That's why I haven't got a red bottom. Right. Okay. Just wondering.
We did have a few more problems with the bikes this time than what we did in 2012. Of course, you should check a few things in the lead up to an adventure like this, such as the wheel bearings, chains, sprockets, tyres. Give the bike an oil change and fit an oiled air filter sock to try and prevent dusting the engine. While on the trip, you should routinely give the bike a once-over just to try and head off any issues that may arise. The Prez gave the numbskulls salute to the Posties with a purpose, and we headed off from the Kupanuk Hotel for day 4, the journey home. The Prez, Macca, as well as running everything, was also heavily involved in planning the route for the Posties. Knowing that we had a stunning valley coming up, he sent the camera crew ahead to capture this amazing sight. After a quick morning tour at Bulladoola, we headed off along a back road towards Burul. The engines were purring, and everyone had certainly gained a sense of affinity with the roads, riders and their surroundings.
I
We had done so well time-wise that morning that it was decided the group should add in an extra trail up towards Stroud. This required a new leader, so the yellow leader's jersey was swapped over, and after a quick warm-up of the tyres, we were off. This is where things took a nosedive. We had broken the one last lap rule at motorbikes. You should always leave that extra last trail or extra last lap for next time. Jody had been coming along the fire trail and taken a big hit from a drainage rut running across the trail. It sent him over the front of the handlebars. He had landed on his back and hit as he hit the ground. Jody was in a lot of pain, and it was an easy decision to call for an ambulance. The ambulance was only a short distance away at Stroud, but it came in the difficult end of the trail. As Jody made his way to hospital, the engine in the ambulance seized up. It seems the sump had been punctured coming along the dirt road, and Jody had to wait for another ambulance to turn up so that he could continue his trip off to hospital. With Jody in good hands, we gave the paramedics some space and made a beeline for home. With the road blocked off by friends and family, we were welcomed back into Dudley. There were many hugs as the riders reunited with their families.
Give us a thumbs up, boys.
It was evident just what a large crowd had gathered to welcome us home. The local TV station did a quick interview before the pub was filled for the afternoon's presentation and festivities.
These boys over the last couple of days have been yelled at, screamed at, pushed, prodded. They've done a great job. The best crash. On day 2 we thought Bono had this stone up. Unfortunately he got banged up pretty bad. There's a special mention for Peter Hartnett on film in the sand. Jimmy Rock on film in the sand. Rossi banged himself up pretty bad when we followed the drunk's advice. Well, Rossi went to hospital. There's only one person that got there in an ambulance, so
Jody,
we'll take that to him and give it to him. He doesn't want it, but he's got it.
Yep, so as you heard, Jody was awarded the best crash. Jody was diagnosed with a fractured hip and coccyx, concussion and 6 broken ribs. After about a week in hospital, they were concerned about his sore shoulder and x-rayed to find a smashed collarbone, which then had to have a plate inserted. After a few weeks in the John Hunter Hospital, he was transferred to a hospital closer to home for another week or so. He eventually recovered from the injuries, but he might be relegated to the support truck for the next ride.
But the slowest rider's got nothing to do with riding. Christian Ison, for always being the last bloke to get his helmet on. Well done a bit. We talked about our 3 fastest riders. Darren. Our top fundraiser. He only just overtook Darren in the last half an hour. best on tour. And there's only one bloke that travelled 4,000 kilometres to be here.
Not only did Rossi get best on tour, but he also made a post-presentation dash at Brest Crash. Remember that nail that poked him in the knee? Well, he was still a bit stiff to drive home the week after we got back, so he went and saw a doctor. It turns out he had a blood clot in the back of his knee. It had held him up for 2 weeks, and eventually the Prez volunteered to drive him and his car home. Yes, home to Darwin, a mere 4,000 kilometres back to the top end. Of course, with the tropical climate of Darwin, the knee got a staph infection. They had to cut a whole bunch of it out and put some weird vacuum pump on it to prevent it from getting any worse. He could have lost his leg. In all, the Posties with a Purpose 2017 Lunatic Loop ended up raising $58,000. Thank you to all those that made it possible, and thank you for watching.
Since Thursday, 25 riders have travelled 1,400 kilometres from the Hunter to Armidale and along the mid-north coast on Postie Bikes.
A few thrills and spills and scary getting into towns in the dark in the rain where we didn't intend to, getting lost, listening to people about shortcuts that weren't shortcuts.
But this wasn't some leisurely tour. These riders are helping sick kids. Anthony McNamara started Posties with a Purpose to help make hospital stays better for children, something he's seen firsthand.
Chelsea had a very nasty accident 15 years ago and ended up in hospital with the John Hunter.
His daughter was in and out of hospital for 3 months and required specialist treatment in Sydney.
And we realised the difference in resources between the two hospitals was massive, so we come home and tried to do something about it.
He saw how happy I was from the therapy that I got, so obviously he wants to be able to give that to other little kids.
Throughout this year's trip, Posties with a Purpose has raised around $40,000 for the John Hunter. Alex Heike, NBN News.